Right, so I just wanted to quickly show off this camping stove I made for a backpacking trip I had earlier this month. And so what we got is, it's just kind of strung together right now with this line with hooks on it. So this is obviously the lid, but it's on the bottom. And here we have the bowl, which you heat the water in. The bowl has a screw-on handle, and that's really nice. Inside the tin, I've got my cup, my utensils, and inside the cup I have a little alcohol stove and the simmer ring. So this was just something I didn't have a ton of time to really get it dialed in. So I was going to do like a normal traditional pot stand and try to find things that were lighter. Obviously a wooden lid is quite heavy, but it works. The bowl for heating the water, I went for a round bottom bowl because when I was messing around trying to make meals in different bowls and stuff, I had tried making something with in this bowl, which was just from a Walmart mess kit, and it was horrible because these corners with a bowl or with a spoon is just horrible to try to do anything with. So I decided kind of the best thing to eat from is actually a mixing bowl, because and you can mix stuff, and anyway, mixing bowl was really nice to make stuff in, so I decided to go with a mixing bowl. And then I went and I marked off measurements inside the bowl as well. And this bowl cost me $1 just at the thrift store. Alcohol stove. I'll have to check whose channel I got the instructions from. I can't remember their name, but it's like the Easy capillary hoop stove, I think. It's a variant of that. It's just got wire feet JB welded onto it, and simmer ring. It's pretty basic, easy to make. But the cool thing I've got is really this. And this has got the vents on the bottom and the vents on the top. And so this creates the, not only creates the windscreen, but it creates a nice system to heat the bowl. And it creates a nice tornado effect. The bowl goes on top and fits inside like that. And that ends up working out really well. Let me change the camera angle so we can kind of look down upon it. So using the system, you put the stove inside with the alcohol in it, of course. Like the alcohol. And I've got a cup of water in here that is already a little warm. And so what happens is air comes in the bottom, and it's given some rotation because of the way the cutouts are working. The stove itself is cut so, or the jets are put in a tornado configuration as well. So what's going to happen is that as the air goes towards the center, it's going to have to spin faster and faster and faster as it gets towards the center. And then of course it's got these jets out the side, which then push the air out in the opposite direction that it came in from. So it's got a nice tornado system going on here, and I think that should work really, really well. You can feel there's jets of really hot air just shooting out these sides. So that means the air is hitting the bottom and swirling around really fast, and then as it gets up to the top, it starts swirling slower and slower, because rotation happens faster in the center and slower on the outside. And then it finally comes out these jets. So if I put the lid on for a minute here, let it heat up, we can see what it looks like boiling. Of course we all want to see what boiling water looks like. Right, so the water's boiling now. So, for setting up these, the cutouts for the air intake and outtake, it was actually more work than I thought it was, because you have to be, you have to make sure that the fire and the stove is able to get enough air. Because if it's choking on air, it's just filling the space with alcohol vapor instead of having the stove functioning as it should. Also, the problem is you want enough airflow coming through to where the stove doesn't get too hot. Because of this configuration in this enclosed container, the stove gets much hotter than an alcohol stove running in open air would, and so it can develop the problem of thermal runaway a lot easier. And so not having enough ventilation and air circulation inside means that more hot air is down lower. So that was a challenge. And in fact, it does get, you can see how, maybe you can see, yeah, you can probably see the flames shooting out. It's getting pretty hot in there. Part of the reason of that is because it's a hot day outside. And it's not so much a problem when it's a cold morning on the mountain. And if it is getting run away on you, you can put the thermal, or not thermal, the simmering on there, and it'll tone it down, and you'll be able to boil water without wasting a bunch of fuel. Yeah, it worked really well for my camp out. I was able to get all the water I needed. I didn't have to bring a ton of fuel. Okay, it's out now. But yeah, it was heavier than it could have been, but it was all right. The can actually ended up being pretty useful, because it was something we could carry hot coals in and stuff. And then also I realized that this could make, in a pinch, a nice wood-burning stove as well, because you could just fill this thing up with dead twigs and stuff, and just fill it up. And because it's vented from the bottom, you could just place your pot or whatever on top. And this just alone is a nice little stove without any alcohol. So, pretty happy with that. And thought I'd share it. I really love how the appearance of it turned out. It just looks so cool, knowing that it's like, oh, it's like a tornado chamber. So there we go. That was my camping stove. Okay, so to show how this thing is working as a system, what I've got is I've got the stove running in the can, and what happens when I put the bowl on top, and I should have a few moments where it'll be on there without getting heat shock, thermal shock. Ooh, it's hot. You can see it forms a nice little tight tornado, a really tight system. But if I blow on it, it's pretty stable. Take that off. Didn't crack. Success. So yeah, it works pretty good, I think, to protect it from wind and to get a nice little cyclone going. Yeah, but that's what it looks like running with the bowl on top.